Hey guys, today I'll be comparing the best 3DS JRPGs of all time, according to various websites and magazines online, versus my own personal favorites. And holy crap, man. We barely, and I mean barely, have any JRPGs in common. This is gonna get interesting to say the least, so let's begin. Number 10, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. I saw a lot of 3DS JRPGs that could have been here: SMT4 Apocalypse, Fire Emblem Fates, Rune Factory 4, Dragon Quest 7, but I think I saw this little Mario and Luigi game in a few more lists than the others, but far from being one of the first places. It's a good game, and it's Mario, so of course its popularity helped it over other titles such as Kingdom Hearts, for example. Ironically, considering this is just a straight port of the original DS version, plus it contains an extra episode called Bowser's Jr.'s Journey. What a mouthful. But I think a better port is Tales of the Abyss. I had a blast with it on the PS2, and I did get to play it on the 3DS. Obviously it shines more on PS2 and people know it because of that version, often forgetting it's also available on 3DS. So is this version any good? Yes, very! And as much as I love Mario, I'd definitely play Abyss over Bowser's Inside Story any day. I think it's a more deserving game of the 10th place, even though I barely saw it on anyone's list. Number 9, Shin Megami Tensei 4. Shin Megami Tensei 4 got more popular over the years thanks to the internet praising it over and over again. It's a great game for sure, but I never finished it and haven't gone back to it. Maybe my opinion of it will vastly improve if I ever do, and I will. Regardless, I'm happy I saw it regularly on several lists out there, but almost never in the top 5 for some reason. I think it's because it's just a difficult game with terrible pacing at the beginning. My pick instead is yet another SMT game, a remaster of an old Sega Saturn title we never got back then: Soul Hackers. This is a dungeon crawler in first person, a genre I usually stay away from, but it just so happens to be my favorite within it. Now, both games are turn-based, sure, just as challenging, but the setting and gameplay mechanics are different. Storytelling is superb in both, and I do believe SMT4 has better music, so yeah, SMT4 is probably the better game here, as it isn't as labyrinthose and annoying to play as Soul Hackers, but I just think the latter has way more personality and characters that appealed a bit more to me. Number 8, Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. I think it's insulting to have the masterpiece that is Radiant Historia ranked this low on several lists. Remember, I base the consensus on websites and magazines, not YouTubers. But at the same time, I get it, this wasn't its home console. Perfect Chronology is a remaster of the original classic released on the Nintendo DS. Whereas my pick for the 8th place, The Alliance Alive, was specifically developed for the 3DS. Written by Suikoden creator Yoshitaka Murayama, it certainly encapsulates several elements seen in the series: groups of characters overcoming racial issues to band together against the oppressive leaders. It also has a saga-like combat with different formations and skill learning abilities over a simple leveling system. I love this game, but Historia is by far the better RPG, and it shouldn't be on the 8th place despite being a remaster. I'll explain why when we get to it again. Number 7, Dragon Quest 8. Nobody should be surprised to find a Dragon Quest game in most websites' top 10s. The series has found a good home on portable systems with ports, remasters, and remakes throughout the years. This version has 2 new playable characters, therefore an expanded story, and some new additions here and there, or it's merely a port with extra content. I liked it, but I think the game shines way more on its original PS2 version. So my pick for number 7 is Fire Emblem Echoes, a full remake of a Famicom game called Fire Emblem Gaiden we never got. It also features several new story additions, quality of life mechanics, and dungeon exploration to search for treasure, leveling up in random small map battles. I think it's one of the best remakes ever made for a portable system, but I'm a die-hard Fire Emblem fan, so I might be a bit biased choosing this game over the legendary Dragon Quest 8. Yeah, most people will definitely consider it as the better game, fitting for a top 10, but I'd honestly play most Fire Emblem games over any Dragon Quest title in existence. Number 6. Pokemon Sun and Moon. Nope, not a Pokemon fan, and I've never touched these versions. In fact, I've never played a single game on the 3DS from this series since I gave up during the Nintendo DS era. So this pair could be extraordinary masterpieces or other pieces of crap for all I care. I'm simply not interested in the series, and I don't even know if their Ultra versions were better, but I'm sure someone in the comments will say something about it. My pick is Project Cross Zone 2, the third game in the Namco Cross Capcom series, an extremely addicting strategy RPG and massive crossover. This one even invites characters from more well-known franchises including Fire Emblem. Sadly, I didn't see this game in anyone's list. Not because it's bad, obscure, or it got mixed reviews. Simply because there were a lot of remakes and remasters on the 3DS and a huge library of original and great JRPGs on it, so people simply overlooked it. Plus, it's a grid-based tactical RPG with long maps. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. It's impossible for me to decide which is the better game here since they're aeons apart because of the type of genre they are. Number 5. Bravely Default. I was surprised to see Bravely Default in a lot of lists out there. I do remember when it came out it was a big deal. One of the first love letters to the classics that pretty much started a trend. I did jump into the hype train like everybody else, played it for several hours and I gave up. It became somewhat boring with cliché story and characters and repetitive gameplay. I have nothing against it though, I think it's a pretty good game, but I also remember a lot of people complaining about a certain part of it that ruined the experience, making you loop something I never even got to. So I respect this game, but I don't even think it should be ranked this high. Project Cross Zone 1 is by far a better game for me. Once again, they're totally different games, quite hard to compare, but this one isn't going to make you repeat areas or dungeons, it's not gonna confuse you with a job system, and its enormous amount of characters will keep you more immersed and entertained. Even though Bravely Default will appeal to most RP gamers out there, no, I insist Project is definitely the better game here. Number 4. Xenoblade Chronicles. I think the reason why I rarely saw this port of Xenoblade Chronicles on the first places is because most people just didn't play it. A lot of gamers never cared for or about the new 3DS, and since this port wasn't exclusive to it, they skipped it, including me. I've never touched this version, all I know is that it's available here. I'd rather stick to the Wii or much better, to the Switch remaster from a few years ago. It's still an excellent video game though, so it's probably gonna crush my pick no matter what. Devil Survivor 2. Yep, another strategy RPG, but one that is hybrid, mixing grid-based maps with first-person turn-based combat. The story here is a mixed bag though, the plot is incredible with some messed up twists, philosophical and psychological situations, but half of the cast of characters is questionable to say the least. The dark tones of it are often ruined by dumb jokes, anime tropes, and a silly localization. Still, it's a fantastic game to play with multiple routes and endings. So which is the better RPG here? Damn! Again, most people will say Xenoblade even if they've never touched this version. It will be more fair to me to compare Devil Survivor 2 with Xenoblade's Definitive Edition on Switch. I'd still pick the former, but I believe the latter wins for having a broader audience. Number 3. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. I'm honestly not a fan of Monster Hunter, but I was shocked to see it ranked so high out there. Tons of websites put it on the first 3 places of their lists. I don't know why, since I've never played it. I played 3 on Wii and 3DS, I also played Generations, but this 4 Ultimate Edition, I never bothered because I don't care about this series. It's probably an awesome game, and I'm sure many of you will explain why in the comments. Anyway, this is where I will rank the remaster of Radiant Historia. Remember when I said I will explain why despite being originally released on the DS? Because this remaster offered improved combat, quality of life features, an extra character and tons of interesting side quests. It is like Xenoblade on the Switch, the definitive version of Radiant Historia to play. It's excellent and it's very worth going through a second time if you've already beaten the original version. Being a traditional style turn-based RPG, it will definitely appeal to more true RP gamers out there, over some open world remaster with a totally different audience. Historia wins for me here, no questions asked. Number 2, Pokemon X and Y. Pokemon strikes again. Were these versions really that good? I couldn't tell you. I do know they were the first ones to appear on 3DS, specifically developed for it. I also remember they were a big deal back in the day. So with barely anything to say about them, I'll just jump to my number 2, which is Shinigami TC4 Apocalypse. Thankfully, it did feature in a few lists here and there, but rarely in the first places. That's understandable seeing as how Mega Tensei games aren't for everybody, they're just too hard. So most average gamers will find the Pokemon series more appealing, whereas hardcore RPG fans will definitely turn their eyes towards SMT. This is a direct sequel to 4, but with a new cast of characters. It is necessary to play 4 first to understand it though, so me putting a direct sequel on the second place will unquestionably raise some eyebrows. Not sorry for not being a fan of Pokemon, so I think Apocalypse here, sequel or not, wins by a landslide. It's just as addicting to some of us as Pokemon is for some of you, and since people like me favor dark, rock and metal music, grim and mature storytelling and challenging turn-based combat, my pick shouldn't be surprised. Number 1, Fire Emblem Awakening. Not sure why this game is so damn popular, it made it to a lot of people's first place in their lists. Naturally, as a big Fire Emblem fan, this will be a really hard contest for me. After all, I love the series and I love strategy RPGs, but I'll be honest, Awakening was a mixed bag for me. Gameplay was awesome, especially the maps and the battle mechanics, but I've criticized the story and characters so many times before that I already lost count. Some are interesting, some are straight up lame. Anyway, most of you saw this coming. My favorite 3DS JRPG of all time is Devil Survivor. I suffered through its nightmarish original DS version so much that this excellent port came to heal all of my wounds. It's perfectly rebalanced, still tough as nails, but not as ridiculous as before. Again, some characters are stereotyped, but most of them start making sense after a while, unlike half of the cast in Awakening. Gameplay and combat is fantastic in both, but I'd rather play Devil Survivor for having more intricate maps with simple layouts but extremely creative mission and objective designs. It's a masterpiece that far surpasses most Fire Emblem games I've ever played. Yes, I like it that much! Again, more gamers will find Awakening more appealing, but I do feel like if they gave Survivor a chance, it will definitely put things into perspective. My pick wins here. Awakening is great, but it's just so overrated. And that's my list, my favorite JRPGs on the 3DS versus the ones of the general consensus. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!